what we learn from the public media is what we retain and what we use as the gospel truth. And from the public media, most of us use 100% of what we read as the gospel truth, as if the gospel truth is truth. The gospel truth is gospel. And that's the only thing about it. You don't need to call it truth, because to whom it is truth. The biggest problem we have is truth. What do we mean by that? For most of us, truth is anything we hear and became accustomed to and have adopted, and it's truth. Not necessarily what we have certified by examining. So it is truth that Christianity is the only true religion. It is truth that Islam is the only true religion. It's truth that Judaism, and I can go on all night by that, and I can get approval of each of those statements for many of you within this audience. And each of you would fight the other over those truths. And yet, no way in any of them is the truth. Because if it was an intrinsic truth, you would not have to fight each other or even have a controversy. The mere fact that you don't agree on truth means it is not true. So let us deal with the things that we can possibly understand. So let's take a young man asked me when I was in the gentleman's room, not the ladies of course, just this afternoon, did I believe in one spiritual God, one God that was in charge of everyone? And since I know that the word God is masculine.
Nah. You heard him, since he know that the word God is masculine. That's basically since he know that the fucking word God was made up by a motherfucking man for to fuck us up with some real truth, with some fucking bullshit. And we've been believing in all this bullshit just as we was taught to believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the motherfucking Tooth Fairy. And we still sitting on this shit as it being some part of being the fucking truth. That's the stupidity of us being taught to being stupid fucking sheeple and not fucking smart fucking people to know the fucking truth. We're not fucking kids no more. We fucking full-grown fucking adults. If the shit don't make no motherfucking sense and you can't make nothing out of it, somebody is bullshitting you with that bullshit for you to be believing in. I'm just saying. And this guy here can read and write. He's a minister, shit. Roll with a minister, dude.
I hesitated because I didn't know the answer to his question. Since it is, why should God be a man?
Nah.
That upset a lot of the women in here, because you know that God is a man because you just called him he and him this morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Or probably when you came in here.
Yeah.
Since I don't, I have no background.
You don't have no background. You don't have no background.
Then I must equally ask, why was the question? The question is because it is bothering that young man as to the answer we read in the Bible. And our Judeo-Christian Islamic Bible established a kind of ridiculous position that we cannot get ourselves out. So therefore, God, to most of us, has to be a man or male-like figure. If someone will come to us and say that God is neither male nor female, we got problems. And if we say that God is a hermaphrodite character, worse problem. I didn't say a homosexual. I said hermaphrodite character.
Hermaphrodite
that
character.
means that God is both male and female. Well, you will find that when you go to Egypt, when you go to Sudan, and when you go to Ethiopia, as I am returning. Because the deity, God, goddess, is
the creator. Fuck all that God, goddess, and that bullshit that you was taught to fucking say about the creator. Because man is the creation of the creator that gave the creator a fucking name. How fucking stupid is that? How can man give the divine creator a name like fucking God? That's why it's so fucking many. Because we was taught to fucking be stupid. We was taught to think fucking stupid. We're not stupid. We are the people that make the world go round. We are the creator's greatest creation to be in. The creativity in you is the creator of you. Neither man nor woman, black nor white. The truth is the truth. Neither male or female. It's the divine creator of us having a fucking life. And it's mind-boggling to me how stupid we can be. All because we was taught to be stupid. We was taught to not ask questions. We was taught not to ask, why is this? Why is that? Because we was taught to just think and be fucking stupid fucking sheeple. Not the fucking people who make the world work. It is what it is. You look at bullshit. It's us being bullshit.
I'm on the clock. What you want? Some wheels? It's coming at you.
Merriweather Security Consulting. How can I help? Airstrike confirmed. Please drop a flare at the target location before the jet arrives.
Approaching target. Preparing to fire.
Always presented in along the Nile as both male and female, or male with female. And you have problem. You have problem because along the Nile, God have intercourse with goddess and have children. Now you got problem with that because you know Jesus couldn't get anything at all. Now, but Jesus could be saving everybody, dealing with man, dealing with woman, in charge of operation, in charge of menstruation, in charge of homosexuality, in charge of everything. Matter of fact, nothing can happen without God in it. Now, if nothing can happen without God in it, how come you mad with AIDS? It can't happen unless God wanted it to happen. That's your statement.
No.
Nothing in this world can happen without God's intervention. And if God wouldn't want it, it wouldn't happen. But you can't tell me then, how is it that God got so angry and drunk the world the last time?
See? Stupid.
Leaving only one family.
We was taught to be stupid.
40 days in the boat, of course, two of everything. I was trying to measure that boat the other day. And found that the boat is not as big as this building. 30 cubits is less than the length of this building, and it had two of everything. It didn't have two African lions, of course, or one. We don't need to mention that. I hesitated because I know I give you a chance to figure. Having the tail of one dinosaur would have been difficult, much less the body of a dinosaur. I just want to establish how we see truth. And truth,
we were taught to see
if we would say, to me, truth, if we are going to talk about a God concept,
have faith in some
would be the original
it's like
of anything, as a matter of fact. So when I speak of
taught to believe in the
concept of a deity, I primarily dealing with one that comes from the center of Africa.
Love and not hate, because you don't know
and
what the fuck hate
among
is. So why
one
you do
group of people,
because you was taught to do it by being confused.
The people that you've been
bullshit
called by the ridiculous name which the English call them, pygmies. Of course, the indigenous people call themselves tHE and Hutu. And in Egypt, they were called Sebenetos. In the southern tip of Africa, they call themselves Khoi Khoi and Kalahari. You call them in the southern tip of Africa, Hottentot, like the Europeans do. But you fail to remember that when those people were presenting to the world, their world, any form, any aspect of a deity, Jehovah, Jesus, no Allah was anywhere around. I need to repeat that again and make it more clear for most of you. I said that when the Africans in the central part of Africa was dealing with the concept of a deity, God and a goddess, no one in the world, any place in the world, even knew or had any idea of a God by the name of Jehovah, Jesus, and or Allah. It was thousands of years later that what the Africans had brought forth to mankind as a whole, those that were living, and I need to make this very clear, not a single Hebrew or Jew existed. Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, or any
This is Dave, his dog Cooper, and I'm Randy. We sell the most comfortable socks in the history of feet. Why? Socks are the most requested item at homeless shelters. So for every pair we sell, we donate them. To donate a lot of socks, you have to sell a lot of socks. How? Fix everything. Ditch the annoying seam, add art support, use the best cotton so they're soft as a puppy. Make socks like these and these and these. Socks so comfortable we've been able to sell and donate over 5 million pairs. Get 20% off at bombas.com.
Existed when the Africans on the line, along the Nile were already dealing with the concept of a deity. The most common at the earliest time was the deity symbolized by the sun, not the sun. Never once did the Africans preach that any material things or any other animal was the deity, but use these as symbols of the deity. Many of you will be going to Egypt quite soon and other places on the continent, and you would go and come back with the same mythology that missionaries has placed in your mind. You would talk of the sun god, and that the ancient Egyptians and others of Africa worship animals, birds, etc. And that isn't true. It is of saying that Christians worship the cross. And you know that is not true. It's a symbol. When you see, and that the media present to us, I've just been reading some articles dealing with a conference in Canada in which many of the scholars, biblical scholars, particularly biblical or archaeology, especially at this time when Passover is here, stated that there is no evidence, no physical evidence of the Passover ever happening. That mess you up. But I'll make it better for you. There is no evidence at all in Egypt of a Hebrew people living at the time when they were supposed to, worst of all, being slaves in Egypt. There is no record whatsoever in Egypt of a Hebrew people, one of them by the name of Joseph. There is no record of a prime minister in Egypt by the name of Potiphar. And there is no record of a man living in any of the Pharaoh's home by the name of Moses. No record whatsoever. Make it a little better for you. The first Hebrew or Jew, whatever name you want to call him, and that I guess would make me anti-Semitic, until the Africans along the Nile were about in the 13th dynastic period, that the first Hebrew or Jew, Avram, was born, and that would put us around 1675, let's be generous, that's 1700 before the Common Era, which you would prefer to say before the Christian era. Yet, you have facts, and facts upon which you work daily, none of which coincide with the information I'm bringing to you. But the reason is that you have no reference, for the most part you had, I should say, prior to the revolution that started in the 1960s, died down, started again in the 1970s, highlighted by the expose of Dr. Jeffries, which many people are sorry now that they even touched, because what they have done, instead of damaging Dr. Jeffries, they have brought to the forefront information which other people would not have known.
did too.
And now many people are going to, who had no intent of studying more about the Passover, the Christian crucifixion period. Many people who thought that it is Rome that had given them, most of us in here,
we don't know,
and most of us outside of here, believe that we became Christians because we were lucky to be in slavery in one Western colonial power or another. Very few of us have any idea that even Christianity started on African soil.
Or you got plans.
We knew. And I'm not dealing with the principles that were adopted. I am talking about Christianity itself physically started in a place called Alexandria with Pantius and Boetius, two Egyptians, Africans of Egypt, using Greek name because at that time Greek was the language most common in Egypt. And I want you to remind yourself to look at the map, because Egypt, the last time I said a month ago, was still in Africa, even though I heard it's in a place called Middle East.
Yeah, think about it. They made up the fucking Middle East. There's no fucking such thing as the Middle fucking East.
When they revolted
that's
from
what I'm saying. We was taught to fucking believe in the fucking bullshit.
An extension
that those crackers
of
live
what
there and put on fucking
a
television
teaching that
to tell lies to your fucking
Jesus
vision.
by more than 4,000 years. Thus, when you see Jesus, you are seeing the rebirth of a person that existed 4,100 years before Jesus and Mary. If you call Mary Isis, and that's a Greek word, let us say Aset, or Ask, and you call Jesus Heru, or you want to use the Greek word Horus, and then you call Jehovah Asaru or Asar, you will speak about three personalities or deities who gave you your Jesus figure. If you would take the story of those three Africans along the Nile, add 4,000 years to your Jesus, 6,000 years ago then, you will have Christianity before Christ. That is hard to understand. What I'm saying to you is that when you go to Egypt with Sister Betty, I don't care who you go to Egypt with,
stupid is hard to understand. Because when you get there, you've got to go to Abydos. That's where I am right now. I'm in the southern part of Egypt at a place called Abydos. I'm in the temple of Setai I. He is the king, the Pharaoh king, who was reigning in Egypt up to 1298 when he died. And in one of the chapels next to a Holy of Holies, this temple has 7 Holy of Holies. And next to the left one upon entering is a small chapel that showed the Immaculate Conception of Isis. The virgin birth of her child, Horus, 4,100. Not only that, you would be on the only holy land. I'm not talking about Jerusalem. I'm not talking about Bethlehem. And I'm certainly not talking about Mecca, the last of the Holy Lands. I am speaking about the first Holy Land mankind ever knew. Thank you.
What's sad about it is that it's your Holy Land I'm speaking about, and you know less about it than anybody else.
Dumbass. You know more about they fucking...
Abydos was a holy land that the people of ancient times flocked and came to, no less so that people
flocked. It don't matter about
to go to Mount
Arab when you know that you come from love.
And the times when the Muslim
first people
have
all about
the great
love,
Hajj.
That's why we're so easy to be manipulated,
Again.
fucked over,
But we have the truth.
incarcerated, and then enslaved.
And we deal with truth, the one and only truth. Yet we don't know this truth, the first of the truths of all the religious concepts.
Thank you.
Religious concepts that we even carried all the way to India.
I know, and I gave it to you, but you don't want to know because you got
Africans
the truth.
who carried it there now called untouchable.
Don't know it's the truth.
Yet they still call them Tumul, T-U-M-U-L, and we call them Dravidians. These same untouchables gave to India, the Indians of the north, the Bhagavad Gita, and gave them the concept of their own Bible. And the Indians themselves, the Hindu themselves, noted the fact that they got the concept of their Bible. What else did they carry? They carried there the worship of Goddess Hathor, symbolized as a cow. The same Hathor which the Jews worship, the same Hathor which Moses is supposed to have a fight with his brother Aaron on the mountain that you call the sacred cow. So when you go to Egypt, from north to south, south to north, you will see in the temples, most vividly in the temple of Nefertari II, at Abydos, at Abu Simbel. You will see her dramatically at the temple of Hatshepsut, the funerary temple at Deir Hebali, on the west bank of the River Nile. And most of all, you would see her most dramatically in the temple dedicated to her.
Hello, Pegasus Lifestyle Management. How can I help you?
While we mention the name Dendera, and I look and see in the audience as well.
Great. The aircraft is waiting for you at our nearest airfield. We trust you'll be happy, sir.
See how the African presented the quality of the African woman by showing her as goddess Nut in the ceiling, giving birth to the sun. The sun passing through her vagina in the morning, spreading its rays of light. And within those rays of light, Goddess Hathor holding a sprig of what is called the tree of life. Not an anti-life tree, as you would find in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, a forbidden fruit tree. This is one of life. She smiles because the rays from the sun coming through the vagina of God. No, this is pornographic in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. This is pornography. You can't talk about rays and sun coming through the vagina. We don't even admit to babies coming through vagina. I mean, if a woman wants to talk about giving birth to a baby, and that's talking to her husband. I'm not even mentioning her boyfriend. You see, she gotta be a kind of afraid to let people know that a baby came through there, even though she came through one. You understand what's going on? And then most mothers are afraid to even admit that they had sex, married or not married. I mean, you can understand how these things will get. But the ancient Egyptian along the Nile had no problem with any of this. So when you planning to go to Egypt, on the walls and on the columns all over Egypt, you're going to see sexual explanations, not only by words, but by pictures. You will see God Mem, the God of fertility, constantly at all times when you see him, and you're going to see him every way you cast your eyes, with a penis that's completely erected to the point that sometimes it has a curvature at the end. But you will also notice that the ancient Africans, though showing the sexuality of the god of fertility, Mim, did not show the penis coming from his crotch. but instead coming from his umbilical cord, his navel. That's showing that the sexual intercourse not only is the deity, but it is life continuous. Because the penis is nothing but an extension of the umbilical cord.
Nah.
As I said, you can't deal with that today in the synagogue. You couldn't deal with it yesterday in the mosque. And you certainly can't deal with it tomorrow in the church. Yet it is the thing you should be dealing with tomorrow. Because without it, there's no life. And the resurrection scene, the first resurrection scene, as you enter the temple of One at Abydos, is the resurrection of Osiris' penis from a dead horizontal to a perpendicular. The Masonic lodges read about this someplace, got messed up from England and France, and while wearing a top hat, silk top hat, a wingtip shirt, a cutaway jacket looking like penguin, feeling that they got something great, not knowing the source, and would not take a time to go to the original place from whence the whole concept came, using terms of which they have no understanding. And that goes for the daughters of so-and-so and of Isis and so, using of the such thing as the Grand Lodge of Luxor, and would not come to Luxor. They will go only to Israel and turn around. And maybe they would come to Cairo to see the pyramid, and there are no pyramids in Cairo. The pyramids in Giza, the closest one, across the river from Cairo. Misinformation, but still the truth. The only truth. And that is the media. The media is typical of our religion. It's typical of our theology. It's typical of our culture. The media only is a reflection of one aspect, a bad reflection. Of course, we got to deal with it. But I'm just trying to show you how damaging it is. It is as damaging as the information we get sitting down in the pew on Sunday, sitting down in the pew on Saturday, and sitting down in the pew on Friday or any other time. Now, before you got mad and leave and said that man is anti-religious, I'm not. I know you don't believe that. You believe that I'm the Antichrist. But even that I'm not. I don't have 3 names. Each name is 6 letters. So then I can't be the Antichrist. When I get 3 names, each name is 6 letters, then call me the Antichrist, and I'll be glad to respond. Thank you. I am different than that. My wife up to this morning said to me, "Oh, God said." So you understand what I'm doing. So now if you had any problem with who I am, you know. And I guess she wouldn't use that term unless it was real. Well, what we are saying, and I've done it in little humor here and there, but what I am saying to you is that you cannot sit down home. You must go with Betty or somebody else to very validate. Some of us come to Israel, and then we come over to Giza, Cairo for some. And we go and watch one of the 3 major pyramids of the world. I said world because they're pyramids in Central America, and of course there are pyramids in Sudan. Most of us don't even know there are pyramids in Sudan. There are 82 in Egypt and there are 37 in Sudan. Otherwise, an area called Meroe. But the largest of all the pyramids, those of the 4th dynasty, around 2700 plus before the Common Era. They will come to the largest one in particular. That's what most people like to go when they're going up inside to see nothing inside. Just a good climb up about 10 stories, walking in this way. Then you come down in this way, and at the bottom of it, your knees start going. Some people are saying, I'm telling you, they've been there and saw it. I stopped going up because my knee can't make it anymore. But they will come there and touch the pyramid, go up to it, make sure, look at the stone, see not one single brick made of any material, and yet leave there and say, I saw the pyramid the Jews built out of mud and straw. Now, you talking about behavior modification. You're talking about Pavlov dog. And name some other things that is mind-blowing. And you're talking about people that have been made to think and act like fools. Because if you see the thing, you go up to it, you touch it, and you must still say that it is what you did not see, solely because you were told that, and ashamed and afraid for someone to say that you're going against what is being told. You refuse to deal with reality. Refuse to deal with reality. Yes, there isn't a single brick made of mud and straw or water. The pyramid you are going to see there, the stones were hewn, cut from a mountain about 5 miles away from away from those pyramids at the Giza Plateau, a mountain called the Mukaka Mountains, and carried in the inundation period over there. We are so gullible that you will find people come to Egypt, some of us, to see the pyramids that were built from the top down. What happened when the sky hook that was connected to the cloud? What happened to the clouds moving? There's no cloud today. Are you mean to say they said, no, it was built by men with great mind who could suspend blocks? All right. But look, let us see. The largest one is 48 stories high. That's about 481 feet tall. What happened when night came and they couldn't see the work? The poor guys stood and still suspended from 20 and the 81st floor. Now they're down to the 80th floor. They're not all up underneath there. Till they put they stick the last stone underneath and drive it and shore it up between the earth and space. How dumb can you get? But again, we want to believe things that are not, because it gives us the opportunity after to what Sister Betty and the brother Dr. Martin were telling you just a while ago. It is better to say, I will read the newspaper than to say, I will do the work. No. I will read and see what they did. And I will say, yes, they're doing good work. But I will not do and I will not give towards good work. And that's why you get such bad information, because you wouldn't do good work. It is worse than that. I'm trying to get African scholars, quote unquote, to come to Egypt, to Sudan, to Ethiopia, and elsewhere to do field research, first-hand information. But we are satisfied with taking out a book. We would condemn the European writer. But the European writer is in Egypt every day. He's in Sudan every day. Therefore, what he writes, he put his interpretation. Quite recently, some people at the University of Chicago have to admit that Seal, one of the greatest Egyptologists, wrote that they found many of the things that he had written were complete and total lies. But they did not say that Seal lied. Though they admitted it were lies, he made academic miscalculations. And that's why many of my colleagues at the university and I couldn't get along. Because if I thought it was a guy was a liar, he's a blasted liar. A damn liar. And I may come up with an MF liar. Because I realize that the Pope can't make any rules for me to follow and tell me which language is profane and which language is feigned.
Thank you.
There ain't nobody more feigned and profane than he is. So for him to tell me what I could say, it's just like you know, when I say some of my choice little four-letter words, if I get hot enough, then you said that man always so dirty. But isn't dirty? If the word exists, I can't be dirty using it. No. It's just that I express myself with a sweetness of the Lord. I speak the language of the people. Can you imagine Jesus coming here and said, thou crowd, hitherest, extricate the quadruple, and come unto me yonder morning, and I shall compensate thee. Now what the hell did I say? All I said is take out the four-legged animal out of the car, come in the morning, and I'll pay you. Now couldn't I have said that with all that nonsense I just said? No, but you like it better. Because you don't like four-letter words. You prefer to do it, of course, but you don't like it. You don't ever want to hear it spoken. But I speak it because Jesus spoke the language of the people. Give me some skin, baby. Can you imagine? Look, Sister Betty, help go Chilo. Can you imagine Jesus coming to her at the morning, at the well, or any, it ain't got to be the well, it could be anywhere, and throw his hand around her, and the juice, the magic that's coming from her body, and hit Jesus. I mean, if there might have been another Good Friday.
I'm on the clock. What you want? Some wheels?
But you can't think of that term. Immediately you are thinking that he's sacrilegious. No, I'm not sacrilegious. I am conscious of the integrity of the African woman, of the strength of the African woman. You understand me, brothers? I know some of you brothers may not know because you have never tried a black woman. But try one, it's good for your soul. because when you come to Egypt, you're going to see how the African brother projected the African sister. The African brother didn't go around, man, I can't get me a good, man, it's hard to get me a good black woman.
No.
I don't know, but let's go. I'll leave that for another comment. How can he say this when all other people in the world were not writing, expressing themselves? The African men were in the temple, in the ceilings, long before, thousands of years before Michelangelo, were in the ceilings painting the African woman as goddess. In one case, they painted the African woman as goddess.
Walking the fucking garden together.
Over the head
some fucking stupid
of every pharaoh
from gay motherfuckers that put that shit together.
Goddess believe in. Back to back, like the Caribbean song, back to back, and done dead again, get ready. And up there, put stars on her body. And showed her of the goddess of truth and justice. In other places, they show her as the goddess of the universe, of the sky. And then he showed himself as the god of the firmament, god of Yeshu. He called the goddess Nut. He showed the god of the earth, death, holding her hands and her feet apart while her body take the shape of a semicircle. And you know what the caption reads? God's shoe has one hand. The right hand cover vagina. The left hand cover the two nipples of her breast. And the caption reads, Goddess Nut as heaven. God's shoe covering the two columns of heaven. And you're looking in the air for heaven. And heaven gave birth to you. Heaven is the place Heaven is the place that makes you happy. Heaven is the place with the deep, listen to your Bible, a deep. Where is the place that man came from originally? They said a deep, dark, what?
Please.
Pit. Well, let us ask. Full of fluid brine. Well, let us ask. Didn't you come from there? Did it need Jehovah, Jesus, or Allah? No. Go back and check anatomy. Go back and ask yourself what it is that bursts when you're about to come here. And then ask yourself, when you beat her, kick her, and tell her, bitch, come here. Bring your ass here.
No.
Go back and see if it isn't heaven you're talking to.
No.
Because it is there. That thing you call the placenta.
You called the thing stupid to be stupid. That's why you always saying God, he did this, so God, he did that. Because you was taught to think that God is a motherfucking man.
You got a
when the creator is neither man,
truth.
no woman, black, no white.
But there is another side
they
to
gave
truth.
That bullshit.
That you haven't got.
To believe in.
That side that we can't look up because of the roadblocks. We can't look because we are so conditioned by sexual stoppage. We can't talk. A woman cannot marry but cannot come to her husband in bed naked. She must come with all kind of clothes and then get underneath the sheet and slip this off and slide that off and all this stuff. And he too. Because They're married, but each are ashamed of the other to see what each knows the other does. Truth is truth, the reality of marriage. By the system, the culture in which we live, marry, have a good life, don't touch the girl, come to bed virgin, you can prove it, she can't. Come to bed virgin, she's at a disadvantage. But you come to bed virgin, then you have you get a little exercise, you know what I mean? You can't even call it sex in this. And then, but the baby, let's say you marry, you went through all that. You, the man, didn't have any sexual intercourse, hardly touch your own self for a while.
No.
She, the woman, did likewise. You are pure. Me, the good for nothing. I like that name. And I wouldn't say you because you're with your man. But you, the single woman who don't mind me touching you, they go up tonight in the honeymoon castle untouched by human hands, even their own. We get up in the next honeymoon castle, been touched by all kind of hands. And we have a little bit, they have a little bit. But the funny thing is, truth, their baby's going to be born in the same sin as our baby going to be born. Now what reason do I have not to get a little peace? If, before the wedding, if the babies, both of them going to be born in sin. Truth. And that's what we have to do is truth. And the Bible itself said it's not an ending situation. Truth is an everlasting search for answer. Truth is the light, that's it. And I don't think light is that important anyhow because, you see, light is substitute. Like the other day I was there and the brother, the condensation, all the lights didn't work. And I said, ooh, good, I'm getting me a TV. And why not? Condensation was ripping me off all the time. It was my time to rip off somebody. I believe in the 13th commandment. It says, thou shalt, if thou art African, get what thou want, what thou need from other people. You see, I understand, Lord, that the most important thing is black. So there wasn't a blackout. You see, that's the difference in you and me. You say it was a blackout. It was not. It is always black. If the sun don't come, you got a black out. Everything is black. You understand? If you white and the sun don't come, you got a black out. I can't tell you white in the middle of the night when the light is off. Because black is constant. So when you say, they don't like me because I'm black, they don't like me because they're white. You see, how can they not like me when I've given to the world the foundation of the concept of a deity? I've given the world writing. I've given the world the concept of high culture you call civilization. It isn't that they don't like me. It's that they can't deal with me. So they call me the invisible man. I'm invisible when I quote the things that Diane Ravitch, you understand? Edward Koch, oh Edwina. Arthur Schlesinger and others And now we come to the zebras. Dr. Gordon, Edmund W. Gordon, Henry Louis Skip Gates. I think he should have skipped Gates. And others who know not, these are the responsible Negroes, coloreds, jigaboos, and zebras. They join because they feel that they're mistreated because they're black. Most of them would not even admit they're black. Some of them can't even find a black wife. After 3 tries, Gordon needs to find. Some of these black sisters need to show for the Gordon a trick or two, but he might even get frightened like hell and run past Alabama. And I wonder when he looked up and saw the black mother, he must have felt like hell day one when he was born. He must have, what's that? Somebody need to tell him that was a black mother making a mistake. No, you can't blame the sister. The sister tried. But you must say, some of us don't win all the time. We produce the Thomases, justice or not. All because they do not know truth. I think it was the Persian who said in his poetry, all truth, all faith is true, all faith is false. And he went on with his poetry, but down at the end he came to the point, he said that because each of us believe the whole, when you get a glass, the shattered glass, we get a little piece, you get a little piece, it's cut in our hand, but each of us is saying, my little piece is it. Yet it needs all the pieces to bring together to again make the mirror the whole. And that is why we cannot challenge effectively to put, it's not enough to put the post in financial difficulty. It means that somebody among us is buying the post. There's a trader in the house. The cry went out that we don't buy the post. I didn't buy the post.
Alright guys, here's the deal. If you don't smell good, nobody's going to want to be around you, right? I mean, I'm not kidding. I don't even leave the house unless I put cologne on. So I was super stoked to hear about
that we don't buy the post. I didn't buy the post, not only. I don't buy the news. I don't buy any one of them. I don't do, if you are against the people, my people, then you're against me. I have not bought a record by Diana Ross. I will not buy anything by Michael Jackson. And for those who go, I see when Elvis Presley, the date of his death, I see African young people, women, and men crying at his grave. I look at them and say, they got the truth. The truth says, do not talk bad of the dead. Why not? If a bastard was no good when he was alive, why should I talk good about him now that he's dead? No, that is no truth. That's somebody's truth, but it isn't my truth. I cannot speak good of Thomas Jefferson, though he wrote, be it resolved that all men are created equally. That dog didn't believe nothing like that.
No. But he really do. Bunch of bullshit.
And how could I, on the 4th of July, talk about the father of our country, speaking about George the Nasty? Lion George that didn't cut down a tree, no cherry. Martha wants him for inactiveness. And even though Benjamin Franklin exempted himself from participation in the enslavement and the document, he did nothing at all to avoid it.
No, just stop it.
So why did I take the position I'm taking here? Because I know when you take up a dollar bill, when I take this dollar out of my pocket, because I can go on and go on. I'll miss the plane. You take on the green side, brothers, I know some of you, if you're married or got a girlfriend, don't put you on your pocket. I got this one because I borrowed it. Don't mind, I'm complaining, but I'm not going to get rid of her unless I got another one. But on the green side, I know where George Washington and the members of the Continental Congress got the symbols. I know that the money, that the symbol of my God Ra, the sun, which, don't forget, all of you Jews, all of you Christians, all of you Muslims, you got the same God I got, because at the end of your prayer, you still say Amen. You still say Amen. Amen Ra. The God of the north and the God of the south mixed together. You still speak of the eye of Horus, which Horus lost in the struggle of justice, fighting against his uncle tHE for having killed him. You still carry the story of the man who fought his brother and killed his brother, but you got the wrong name. You attribute it to Cain and Abel. Thousands of years before there was a Cain or an Abel mentioned by anyone, because you don't have a Cain and an Abel until Abraham is born. The Jews brought the concept of Cain and Abel, but long before there was an Abraham, there was the fight between tHE killing his brother Osiris, and Osiris's son, tHE's nephew, killing tHE in return. You're going to see that. You're going to see that in life size when you go to the corridor, other corridor, at a temple called the Temple of Horus the Elder, at a place called Edfu. It is the best kept temple to date of the ruined ones. Yet they tell us that the Greeks gave us drama. How can it be when this temple you're going to see, they tell us that the Norwegian and the Scandinavian gave us the harpoon. You're going to go there and see the story 4,000 plus 2,000 years, 6,000 years, and you will see Horus harpooning with a harpoon. Yet the Swedes give us the harpoon. But you have the truth. These are truths that you must write down in the classroom and get 100% if you put it. And Diane Roberts would say that Jeffries got no business changing this. And Jeffries would not change it. But Jeffries went to the Nile a few times. And he saw something he couldn't refuse. Truth. Another truth. Truth of the indigenous Africans that were his antecedents. And that's the problem we face with. We face with it as you are faced with July the 4th. When you are going to go down to march for Cristobal Colon. Cristobal Colon, who the Spaniards liked so much, they put his behind in jail and kept him there until he died. While you stay here preparing with D'Amato and others, and Ferrara and others, and Coleman. All of them brothers and sisters who have to declare their whiteness because you were in Sicily. You were at the gates of Rome with Hannibal. And you stood there for umpteen years. And when the brothers wanted sex, they did not catch the elephant and say, come here, sister elephant. I want to be happy. Give me some heaven. No, the Italians are not dark because of the sun or because of wishful thinking. They're dark because of a certain thing called black penis. It is not Othello and Desdemona alone, because Shakespeare wrote 7 such plays with the Africans in a dominant position in the European monarchies. But more than that, we don't have to even let what was Shakespeare, because, as you know, the Medici family could validate it. And you are an Aquinian and all kind of statue, but you must remember that you once had a quote-unquote Negro-colored king that ruled this land. I'm talking about George III. The George that George Washington, honest George, fought the other dishonest George. The George who could speak no English, the German George. The German George who was the great-grandson of Alessandro Medici. Alessandro de Medici, who was the daughter of Martha from Ethiopia, and Pope Medici of the Roman Catholic Church of Christ. I don't need to deal with more. I mean, because I could go up to, for those of you who don't feel good about that, I go up right there in Sweden and get the blondest of the blonde of you. Because make sure that the nigga you sleep in bed may be yourself. Because I'm going to talk about the Count Bernadotte that became Sweden's first king, a brother from Haiti. How did come to think about Haiti? I mean, all of you should be kissing Haitians. Because when you kiss a Haitian, you're kissing your cousin. It is at Haiti that they brought your ancestors' spirit. It was then called Hispaniola, Haiti and Santo Domingo. It is there the Roman Catholic priest Bartholomew de Casas, with the power of Pope Martin V, that brought Africans from Spain, not from Africa, Africans who had been in Spain for 774 years, from 711 to 1845. Those Africans calling themselves Moors, are quote-unquote Africans who brought Columbus in a ship, not to America. Columbus have never seen America, north, central, or south. He saw the island of San Salvador. That's the closest he came, and he didn't sail a single ship. Pietro Alonzo Nino was the admiral of the fleet. The 5 ships that left, Columbus was the admiral of the expedition, in charge of the expedition. Nino took over the helm of the Santa Maria and sailed the ship. How Columbus going to sail the ship and he's put in the brigs by his men who revolted against him? He's going to sail the ship on the brigs? No. Truth. There's them that truth, and there's us here truth. So us here truth. Syntax truth. It's got to be the truth. We adhere to it. It's our truth. Our truth that we have investigated. Our truth from which the blood flows. Our truth from which millions. Somebody telling me about people with a Holocaust. I'm not talking about a Holocaust ended with a T. I am talking about Holocaust ended with an S. The plural. I am talking about Holocaust in which not one of us survived. Tasmania. Every man, woman, and child is dead. There isn't one left. I'm talking about a Holocaust that's still going on. From 638 of the Common Era, or 1888, the year after the Hajira by the Arabs, to the present time. That's the Holocaust. The Holocaust, the worst of our Holocaust, and I'm ending up with a question, the worst of our Holocaust took place here. The mind. There is something on the radio that says the mind is a horrible thing to waste. If you got one. Most of the people saying that hasn't lost anything because they don't have a mind. If they had a mind, they would not have acted as they do. If they had a mind, how could we not come here as we do when James Brown is around? Don't come here just because I'm here. The revolution doesn't stop when I'm not here. It doesn't go when I go. How can you get in the revolution, you say? You are in the revolution when you support your child. You are being revolutionist. You're in the revolution when the sister said, I missed my period. And you say, what happened? She said, I'm pregnant. And you don't say, I gotta go down to buy a loaf of bread. 23 years. 22 years at the bakery. You're in the revolution when you see a young brother, 6 years old, pressing his nose and his eyes and everything against the window at the restaurant at the top of it. Didn't have enough to eat. You call him inside, and your feet said him, you're in the revolution when the sister is in 3 foot of snow. And the forecast is for 6. And the wind blowing and you drive in with your special car with traction, front and traction wheels. And you pull up and say to the sister nothing. And though you don't ask her name, you ask what is the address and you drop it. And you don't ask her what color drawers she's wearing. And when she asks you, what do I owe you for this? Say it. Tell her. Tell your man when you go home, he owes another sister something. Our revolution can be played out by every one of us. Sure, there are times when you come to the synotops and other places like that to coordinate certain action, but daily you have the responsibility for doing your own revolution, and you started when you find out that you're pregnant. And you said, if I get a boy, he's going to be treated the same way as a girl. I'm going to start to talk to him inside my womb. And Daddy, when you rub her on her navel, when you rub and feel the movement of the child, you start speaking to that child and say, if you're a boy, child coming out here, remember that the woman you're going to rape is your mama. That the woman you're going to hold up is your mama. You got to talk to that boy. You can't call that little girl just because she got one baby. You bitch, you whore, you slut. and then call your son, who got a whole flock of babies, don't want without volunteering. Now, the revolution is now, and Sinatop is one of the causes. Let me hear that you came there and did what you got to do.
For the doors. We have some more business to take care of, and Dr. Ben is going to be back for some questions and answers. What we have scheduled right now...
Merriweather, for all your private security needs. How can I help?
We're going to have a comfort break.
One of our aircraft will be with you shortly. Please throw a flare so the pilot knows where to target.
And then we're going to have a microphone set up in this aisle for questions and answers. When you're out on...
It's upon the truthfulness of the times.
And we've been given a target.
No different than a glorified post. I will wait until I hear, having witnessed what the current president of Nigeria has done, with making it obligatory for any African from the Americas, Caribbean, and so forth coming to Nigeria is entitled to a Nigerian citizenship and passport, and many other things of that nature. I would be quite surprised that it is only a diplomatic courtesy for the head of state of another country coming through. We must wait until we hear some of the definitive statements made by the president of Nigeria in quotation. Then we can check with the embassy, and if the embassy validates that that is a statement of the president of Nigeria, then we could be critical. You understand what I'm saying? Because the information by the reporter could be twisted and made to put us on edge, especially since this man have taken the kind of steps that they have taken thus far. So I would say, I don't know, I haven't seen it, but I would like to see the article, and what you could do is call the cultural attaché at Washington or at the United Nations and ask whether or not the statement made by the New York Times that government endorsed that as the position of the Nigerian government. Then we can attack it if it's not appropriate. Oh, the question the young gentleman asked was, what did I think about the behavior of the president of Liberia in hosting the clock from South Africa? The president of Nigeria made in hosting the clock from South Africa. And my position, since I had not read this statement or even heard of it, that I asked him if he had validated this as being the statement from the president or position of the president rather than some reporter from the Times. And we must be careful and don't let us get us in a trap. I haven't heard of the statement or even that the court can visit, but he would be visited many states. As time goes by, the question is what position that state is going to take.
Oh, it's not bad.
Not bad.
Why?
Well, I hope pretty good.
The situation in South Africa between the Mandela. Do you have any comments about that relation?
I do not know the personal life of the Mandelas, and I wouldn't have any comment on that. But I would say, politically, I don't see how they can stay together. One could differ quite a lot in your personal life with each other. The position of Winnie as a fighter. When Winnie was here, and the first time both of them came, if you recall, Winnie was interviewed separately, and she was asked if the negotiations broke down between the club and others, what would she do? And she said she'd go to the bush. What has happened? I recall very succinctly that the day when Mandela was released from jail, I was at the exact moment on WLAV with Gary Bird. Everybody got excited and they asked me, Gary said to me, you heard what happened? They've just released Mandela. What you think about it? I don't think anything about it. I said, it just means that Winnie would have a man to sleep with and Mandela don't have to masturbate any longer. I repeat that statement. What we seem, we are quick, but we don't. I just talk about truth. What Mandela did, he was in jail for 27 years, but he met a man of the PSC there 11 months before I came out the same day with him, and nobody's accusing the man's name. He's now dead. He died two weeks after he came up with TB, a member of the PSC. But I ask you, why was Mandela in jail? He was in jail for contempt, not for activities that he had done anything. In a case, he represented a man, and he refused to divulge what the man had told him, the matter of a client between attorney and client privilege. And he refused, and he was sent to jail for all this time. Not because he was a militant man that was putting up a struggle, armed struggle, against, but then look at the record of Winnie. From a girl, she has always been a woman who has put up a struggle against, physically and otherwise.
Put him in jail for that.
Now,
and look at Hillary Clinton, all the lying she did.
It's true. I don't see how both of them could live in the same house. Now, it was different, you see. It's 27 years passed between these two people. Winnie has 27 years of growth, independent of his and outside, in an armed struggle. To ask her to put down arms, or anybody else, to put down arms for a negotiation that gave nothing, and they surrendered the arms already. So the only people fighting is there in the field, the PSC and a few other little groups, not the ANC. Winnie's caught in another problem. The ANC has white officials, such as the treasurer. Once it had and now the head of the commander of the armed forces of the ANC is another white man. So how I could see in the Winnie's dilemma. And then he comes out and says we lay down arms. And that South Africa, one man, one vote, and the whites should be guaranteed.
Fucking commercial bullshit.
Jesus, willing to speak the truth when it's not popular.
Vote, and the whites should be guaranteed. I mean, guaranteed for what? They should be guaranteed a bullet. One bullet. I back Winnie 100% in this dispute. He said, you got to speak louder. I went into this place called Manchester, right? And in Manchester, they showed me this picture here that the Ghana came up from Newville. We take these three people, which they tell us in the Bible here, this land was dependent on Christ. Right? But
they tell us in the Bible here that 3 wise men got out of Ethiopia and went into Egypt to see Christ. Now, the way that they depict this in Manchester is that the Ghana came up from Nubia with these 3 great men with him to liberate the part of where it's considered Ghana today. You know, so somewhere along the line, I'm confused about that one mission.
I am further confused because I've never heard of this, and I can't give you any answer that may help you in the bewilderment. There are all kinds of story about the 3 wise men. The 3 wise men is a Roman story, came out of the Roman Church. There is no evidence of the ancient or early Christian writer who wrote this. Remember that the church has been into existence for a long time. Before that, it was in existence from Alexandria. There was no such teaching. Even when the church, when the group, the 219 bishops met at Nicaea in 235, they put into the works a lot of things. First, the Nicene Conference of Bishops, ordered by Constantine, the Roman Emperor, went and remodeled the entire Christian church. They expunged certain things out of the Bible, put in certain things, dropped certain 18 books and so forth. So what you had as the original, frankly, they made Christianity Christendom. They Romanized it, and that's what you got today. Unfortunately, we don't know this, and very few of the parishioners have any idea of this. And we stay to certain cliche terms. For instance, everything in the Bible is the words of God inspired. But how the same person saying this have no concept of what happened at the Nicene Conference? They have, for instance, if you got a Bible and it's the words of God, the original, then what happened with 219 men
Force Mutual, how can I be of service?
Taking out 18 books?
Sure.
Revising this, did God's word suddenly change? It is no longer inspired? Look what happened. The Roman Catholic Church put back the 18 books after editing them, and they now call them the Apocrypha. The Protestants have not put back one of them. In the book you read that, in the Bible you read of the Book of the Dead, but nobody asked to see a copy of the Book of the Dead. If they wanted to see a copy, they could see it for about $8. They could buy a paperback copy. But people, you see, we get so accustomed to being treated like Pavlov dog that we respond like Pavlov dog. We only eat when the bell rings, even if we are hungry, and we will die rather than eat if the bell doesn't ring. We are comfortable in the pew sitting down, and somebody get up and tell us how to think, tell us what everything is, and we never question. And that's what happened in this particular case. You have different kind of information coming from all kind of people. I hope I can quickly find something here that I was dealing on, the ordinances, which very few of us read, because there's some books in the Bible we don't read, we pass up. And ministers don't call it because it's convenient. The Jews are slave owners in the Bible, in the Old Testament. And I think I got it. Listen, I'm talking of the book of Numbers, chapter 21, verses 1 to 20. I'm not going to read the 20 chapters, just 20 verses. But this is in your Hebrew, your Old Testament, showing the Jews had slaves in their own book. But who called the Jews slave owners? Now these are the ordinances which you shall set before them. When you buy a Hebrew slave, this is the Hebrew talking. When you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years. And in the 7th he shall go out free. Yes, so 60 years of free slave labor. He shall go out free for nothing. If he comes in single, he shall go out single. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife, and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and children shall be the master's and shall go out alone. But if the slave plainly says, quote, I love my master, my wife and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him to God, and he shall bring him to the door or the doorpost, and his master shall bore his heir through with an awl, and he shall serve him for life. When a man sells his daughter and so on and so on. This is in the Bible. When last did you hear the minister, the rabbi, the priest call for that to be read? The Jews are slaveholders. The same thing.
Merriweather, because security is a private matter. What can I do for you?
Stories and...
Thank you. A helicopter has been dispatched to your area.
Almost everything you could read. Because, remember, the Bible wasn't written by a group of men or a man sit down here today, write it, except when John...
The cavalry has arrived.
I should recant that statement. When Adonisus wrote the book of Revelation, not John. At the Nicene Conference, they couldn't find the book of Revelation, and Bishop Adonisus said he remember it and he knew it word for word, and took 2 weeks and wrote the whole book of Revelation that John was supposed to have written. It's the same Adonisus that they murdered. They bust him with a chain in his head because he refused to vote on the virgin birth of Mary. Of Mary. You know, it's not Jesus' virgin birth that they had for the what they call the there's a thing, a celebration in the Roman Church. It's called the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. It's not Mary's giving birth to Jesus. It is Mary's mother's giving birth to her in an immaculate conception. For 3 generations, there were no intercourse in the family. And ask the average Christian, what is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception in the Roman Church? And they will tell you Jesus. It had nothing to do with Jesus. The feast is the feast of Mary's mother giving birth to her by Immaculate Conception. And very few Christians know it. So it depends. And when people like myself talk, people are offended. But what I am very supportive. My wife is a Roman Catholic. Bless her soul. And I sometimes have occasion to drive her to church, and she has a little sepulchre and a little thing, and I support her in it. Some of my children are Roman Catholics, and I got a daughter who's a Jehovah's Witness, and some grandchildren. So I got Muslim daughters and all kind of thing. What I'm dealing with is to get my children and others to understand what you're dealing with. Understand when you're talking about truth, you're talking about the Bible written by human beings. And you could say by God or whatever. Sister Dobson, this idea comes to her from God. What do you mean by God? And how does God bring ideas? How am I inspired? If I drink castor oil and start work, I get an inspiration to go to the bathroom. If I'm not inspired, my clothes gonna be inspired. But see, we get carried away with certain words, the semantics, and we said they were inspired by God. Now, what do you mean by it? Ask the person what they mean by inspired by God. No. They think it's like a robot. The God just said, "Ping," and it said, you know, it's nothing like that. An inspiration means a feeling. So you get inspired to do things too. No different than those guys who wrote the book. But it was no different. There's nothing special about it. They get an idea, and they felt good with the idea and wrote it down. So you're going to find all kinds of versions. That I will have to repeat it. I think the mic is not working so well. Oh, the mics are for recording, not for the voice projection. The young man is asking, stated that at one time I called for a group of scholars to go along the Nile and to do some virgin research. And he wondered if there was a process going on for that. No, there isn't a process because there isn't a single scholar that volunteered. What it means, you see, is along the Nile, there's still some crocodiles and there's still some cobras and other things. Besides that, along the Nile, there's still some not being able to eat a hot meal every day and wear three-piece suit with Brooks Brothers, and drive a Mercedes-Benz. It means sleeping out in the open, riding a jackass. That shouldn't be bad because Jesus rode one on Palm Sunday, and that was the Cadillac of the day, and all that kind of thing. No, the fact is no process because there's not a single brother who's going to take even a sabbatical to go along the Nile. To going along the Nile means you can't eat as well, you can't sleep as well, you can't gouge yourself. You've got to go with little pickings. Your money, your lecture, you keep, and you dig in and you shovel and say, I got corns in my hand. You got to use a pick and shovel. You got to do all this. And brothers aren't ready yet to do this kind of work, to do research. We are only ready to go in the library, take up another white man's book and research it. Go in it and say whether we agree or disagree. No, nothing is being done in that direction. His sister. Thank you very much.
I have one easy question for you. Be very honest.
I'm going to sign books after Dr. Lewis has arrived, and when they're finished this, I think they're going to be a place I'll sit and sign books. Thank you.
If you had a message right now to President Aristide and the people of Haiti, what would it be?
If I had a message to President Aristide or any one of them, I would tell him stop being a priest and be a president. You can't, like Mama used to say, if you're on the pot, son, if you go, excuse me, friend, if you can shit and get off the pot. You know, Mama was quite explicit. Aristide wanted to be a priest and president.
Jesus, willing to speak truth when it's not popular.
Aristide wanted to be a priest and president. One of Haiti's problem is the Roman Church. And you get it for years. Haiti still suppresses the indigenous people's church, their religion. God Voodoo is as important to me as any other God. It is the concept of a people coming together, expressing their culture, and the ultimate way of expressing a culture is in the deity. It's not whether I like it or I like what the people saying or how they practice their faith. But what made Haiti independent was not Roman Catholicism. It wasn't Jesus. it was first neg yourself. Macandal, Buckman, and then Toussaint and others. But it came out of a spirit and charge against the Frenchmen, and it was through the church that they got the church, or meeting place, or whatever they call it. I'm not when they call it, but they call the meeting place, where they came as worshippers of voodoo, with the teachings of voodoo. And I want to make it clear, but when you all got your peacock and chicken and cutting them up and things, that has nothing to do with voodoo. That's witchcraft. And I don't even call it negromancy. Pure nonsense. And what Haiti needs is a recognition of anybody's religion. And they don't need Roman Catholicism to be back. Because Roman Catholicism and the French, Haitians wanted to be Frenchmen. Let's be honest with ourselves. And when the independence came, with the men that led the independence and gained independence, then shortly after, the church they went back to Roman Catholicism and went back to French consideration. The French culture put me in mind of Sanghor in what place name there, who left the presidency